guys, welcome back to Candid Conversations with Caroline and Chris. We are so grateful for your views and shares and likes on the previous episode on grief, which was a very sensitive and triggering conversation, but we got really good feedback. And if you haven't watched, it's up on the channel. You can watch it and share. And today we have a guest, and we'd like to talk about. I'd like him to introduce himself.
My name is Ibrahim Sangolo. I'm mkazi wa hapa Nakuru, and I'm a psychologist by profession and also a sexual reproductive health and rights expert. Thank you for having me here.
Your own definition.
My own definition. For people to be in a relationship which we can say this is an actual relationship in two people share, there has to be some sort of commitment. For me, I would like to look at a commitment which is long-term in terms of vision, not a relationship in terms of either a boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that, but the vision that we have. So when cheating comes in, it's just one or either of the partners getting out of that commitment that you had. And that commitment can be verbal, written, or even a mutual agreement between you two. For instance, I will say that you and I, in the next 10 years, we need to have had at least 5 babies and a house probably. And so we are working together in this relationship to meet that end goal. And anytime we are diverting my attention, resources or something like that to somebody else, then I'm getting out of that commitment. I will define that as cheating.
Okay, what is a committed relationship?
Committed is just when you have things in mutuality that you want to do together. It can be feelings, it can be goals. It can be as simple as we want to live together for the rest of our life. That's a commitment.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking what's a committed relationship is because if we stayed in a relationship, a romantic relationship for 2-3 years without any form of maybe legal process, traditional process, is it still sustainable? Because by now we know that emotions are not sustainable. So what makes a committed relationship?
People who are committed will say, "This is we want to do this." And with commitment, there is no trials and errors. You are focused on it. Yeah.
This is what I'm expecting from you. This is what you're expecting from me. These are some of the things I can't take. These are things, yeah. But that's a very interesting perspective on relationships and commitments, which I think is a very different topic.
Very different.
Yeah. So let's get back to why people cheat.
Okay.
Personally, I think people cheat because they choose to and because they can.
Okay.
What do you think?
Personally, I think.
Or what do you know?
From the couple, from the few couple of therapists that I've done, I'm not sure if it's justifiable enough for you liking this to go and search it somewhere else. But I'm thinking it's typical nature for somebody, especially a man. If they like something, they will always try to find a way to get it in any other way. And that can be or might be one of the leading reasons why people cheat. Yeah.
When you look at it from a superficial point, people cheat because they're lacking something. It makes sense. But when you dissect it, would it make more sense to confront that thing that's lacking, have conversations around it, sit down, I think this and this is not working for me, and I'm tempted to, because I can, there are things that around me that can actually fill that gap. Isn't it easier to have conversations around that? Or is it easier to cheat? Because I think that's an excuse that people make for just bad behavior.
When we're talking about cheating, it's not the emotional or sexual part of it only. There are so many things we look for. It can be as simple as time. I'm no longer giving you the time you want but I'm giving the whole time to somebody else, a client somewhere else there. It can be, I love going to Java once or twice a week, and you cannot afford that, but kuna kijana pale nje, Kevin, he can take you 5 times a week, leave alone 2 or 3 times a week.
To be a Kevo.
Yes, and now I'm shifting my attention and commitment to that person.
So that's material gain.
Material.
The other one was for emotional gain.
Correct.
The other example.
Yeah. So I think having a conversation about it is a whole angle about it. And now I'm just thinking, if you're having a conversation with me and telling me that I've noticed that nowadays work is taking a lot of your time, and I'm feeling like I need more time. I need more time with some. Yes. Yeah. This person might not necessarily conform to your wishes, because kazi ni kazi. Maybe amekewa shift 6 to 6, and hiyo 6 to 6 the way you need that person kabisa. It might just make them aware of what you are lacking or needing, but it might not resolute to it.
It may not bridge the gap that your partner is having.
Correct. Let's assume you need time. Let's assume it's sexual. Sexually, we have these conversations about women having these expectations for a man. Come, I'm expecting my man a square 1 minute man, for example. I'm expecting my man to have inches, for example. And then you get into that committed relationship, upate kitu kama ifanyiki. These are things that are biological and cannot change maybe with time. You get? So now, kwanza, let's agree that cheating is not gender-based. It's either, it can be either way. Yeah. So right now, I'm assuming now it's anapata a lot of dissatisfaction.
There's sexual incompatibility.
Correct. What do I do? We have people who suffer chronic illnesses, and it brings about sexual dysfunctions to the reproductive system, for example. Chronic illnesses, kama for example cancer, ama ukikuwa diabetic for long, mwanaume kidogo haiwezi anymore. So how are you communicating? How do you want to communicate that and
to your
partner? Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I think in a situation where we have chronic illnesses, I think that's something, or maybe somebody suffers an accident and now things change in the bedroom. That's a bit different. By a bit different, I'm not saying we excuse cheating. I'm just saying, I'm talking from a point of, from the beginning, the moment you indulge in sex with this individual, you knew you are not sexually compatible. So it still brings me back to that question of, are we having honest conversations? Are we having difficult conversations in this relationship, so that I can be able to communicate that I don't think you're satisfying me sexually. So when we talk about chronic illnesses, that's not isolated, but it's a bit isolated compared to these other reasons. Yeah. And I believe by the time you engage sexually with this partner, even because by the time you're committing to, now we are doing this, these are the things we want for ourselves in the long term, and even you engage in sexual intercourse, by that time you should know if you're sexually compatible or not. So at that point you should be able to communicate.
Okay. And what I'm thinking is, kuna watu wenye they don't want to communicate about this kind of things, because you've had women say, I know my man is in a relationship with me because of how I look.
Trophy girlfriends, trophy wives. Yeah.
Correct. And the same can be said with the ladies. My man is not the kind of man I fantasy in bed, but he provides everything else that I need, including money.
Mostly money.
Money, he can finance my lifestyle. So I'm not moving away from this. So they can't communicate such kind of things.
Okay. So, that looking at it from that perspective, but still you can see there's a very huge aspect of communication to the whole thing.
Correct.
Yeah?
Correct.
So you're giving those examples, or just that explanation from a point of, sometimes it's circumstantial, right? I said it's a choice. I think it's a choice. And when we say something is a choice, it means that there's the other way. You can choose the other way, right? So other than it being circumstantial, what else? What other reason?
Okay. What other reason is, actually there are only 2 reasons. It's either by choice or a circumstance is bringing you to it. the unfortunate part is when it's not circumstantial, like you don't need to do it, but you do it.
Like when you have a klepto, like I have all the money, but when nikiingia tu pale LCW Kiki and I'm like, wow, I just want to put that perfume in my pocket, or whatever in my pocket, but not because I can't afford it.
Correct.
So we have the same when it comes to cheating.
Cheating. Kuna mtu mwenye they have everything you might wish for. We have good examples around us, including celebrities. You look at the celebrity and you wonder, anakosa nini kwa this family setup that, but still you still see in the media, oh, he cheated, not even twice or thrice or 4 times. It's because it's just a choice that they're making as individuals.
Before we go to the impacts these things have, or either on the family or the spouses who have been cheated on or who are cheating, what's your thought around men are polygamous by nature? We've had that a lot. Hata tutaambiwa, you'll be told, hiyo tu ndio inakusumbua, ana provide, huwa anakuchapa. Men are polygamous by nature. What's your thoughts around that? I think you're the best placed person to answer that.
Why?
You are a man.
Okay. So, polygamy, I'll answer it traditionally and religiously, if you allow me to.
No problem.
So, traditionally, kwa Kiafrika, I think it's by nature that men want more. It's by nature that men want more. And I cannot speak for ladies because I'm not a lady. But
nice one.
But you've seen quotes for Aswai Kudanganya, he's the only one. It's by nature that anything that we do, we want more. It has to be sufficient, na ikiwezekana ikuwe surplus. And that is not only in resources, wealth, health, but also with women as well. As a Muslim, the reason why we are allowed to marry more than 2, 3, or up to 4 wives is not only about companionship, and also not about necessarily there is you filling in gaps that you've seen maybe from the first or the second wife with the third and the fourth. But the initial idea was, back in the days, kama nyinyi watu wale wameona Game of Thrones, it's men who used to go to war.
Yeah.
So a lot of men used to go to war and they are killed, and because they were polygamous then, because of what I've said about the traditional aspect of it, a lot of women used to be left widowed. So the Prophet in his wisdom said, widowed. So every man is allowed to marry 3 or 4 wives, but they have to be widowed. Now that nowadays men don't go to war, ni KDF wanaenda war, the theories has still continued. It has been passed down to generations. And right now you cannot tell people, people don't go to war, so you marry widows. It won't make sense to them. But that was the initial idea back to it. Now that the war aspect is out of it, now we come back to, is there anything that you're lacking in the first wife that you married? And we are not perfect, so neza semanga Karo doesn't know how to make chapatis.
I don't.
Neza taka kumtafutia mtu mwenye atamfunza make chapatis, but she's not interested.
Get me a soup.
So I'm getting Aisha to come make chapatis for me. Yes. Unamleta Awino. Awino knows how to cook omena and samaki peke yake. Hajui kutengeza pilau. So I'm going all the way to Malindi to get somebody else. It's this simple. And also alongside it, the social aspect of it. If you're not satisfied with this one, can you get the second one, but do it legally? So you'll never see in the news, I can assure you for 1,000 years, and I can bet in my life, ati Muislamu ameshikwa lodging, ati ana cheat. Have you ever seen it?
Okay, I've never seen it, but since we've not seeing something does not mean it doesn't exist, but we will leave it at that because of the interest of time.
Okay.
I liked the explanation, and I'm very curious, but again, I don't know if you're supposed to go down that road, because I'm wondering, so this man, the war one made a lot of sense, and even the African perspective of it, where marriage was purely for, continuation of life, not for, pleasure and sex and, all those things.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, so he didn't find this in person A goes to person B. So what happens when we women don't find those, when we have these gaps, or it's assumed that women can be able to contain their own gaps and find ways of filling them without needing other men?
That's a good question, and that's just like asking me that if because men are polygamous, then women should also be polygamous. Now, you can have 2 husbands and they share you.
Yeah, I'm wondering what is the logic. Now, what is it for women? Like you've explained it for men, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Carol can't cook chapatis, Aisha will do the chapatis, and so it's a kind of kwa biology ilikuwa inaitwa symbiosis ama ilikuwa inaitwa jina yenye one is but you understand, benefit this gap that is here. And but now what happens for women? Are we applying the same thing for women, or is it different? Because when we started talking about cheating, you said it's not a gender thing, so it goes for women as well.
Correct, it goes for women as well. And I don't know women what women do, but I'm thinking in this current generation, kitambo it used to be all men. Kitambo it used to be a male dominated society. Si kama saizi we have revolution. Saizi you can marry me if you want. Yani wewe ndo unanioa mimi. It happens. Kitambo ilikuanga ni waindi wamama wanaoa. But nowadays
it's
a woman can marry you, and
people are more liberal.
Correct. So I'm thinking now women have the choice to say, if I'm not getting this in you, I can just as well leave you and get it from somewhere else. Not necessarily cheating, but making their own choices. Kitambo kukwanga na hiyo. Kitambo women were subjective to men. Yeah.
So it's a social, cultural aspect that we have not yet, because of course now we know that there's this angle. People have started now doing this. People have started. What's that name? These relationships where you find 3 people in a relationship and they're okay with it. It has a name.
Can you see open relationship?
It's open by the way, in a way. Yeah. It's an open, but it has a name. Which is a very interesting topic. But now that you're on women, I'm not basing this question solely on women, but when we've had that conversation around women, and women now deciding Sangolo is not giving it the way I want him to give it, so I can get it from person B, C, D. So I am curious. This is a very curious question, yeah? From a point of, if I decided to cheat with someone of the same gender, though I know this is a very sensitive topic, still we're Africans, we are still grabbing that concept. Is that still cheating?
Yeah. Like
is it still considered cheating?
Cheating.
Yeah.
Like I defined cheating, it's just you shifting.
Stepping out.
Yeah, stepping out of that basic commitment that you had. Once you're committed in a relationship, it's just you two. There is nobody else. Hata watoto wenyu wako hapo katikati. So it's just you and your husband, ama me and my wife. Whenever I'm drifting that commitment, that attention, anything, hata kama ni resources, somewhere else, regardless of the gender, you are cheating. And I know that's a very sensitive topic. She's a woman, there is no way I'm cheating. There's no penetration.
Yeah.
We never know what you guys are doing there. We never know.
Yeah, plus we also talked about emotional cheating. Someone might not be actually particularly having sexual intercourse, but you're giving me a lot of attention and time. So that is still a form of cheating. Correct. You're spending time with me. That is a form of cheating.
Correct.
You have to hide our engagements in whatever capacity. Maybe we're just meeting and doing coffees and nothing beyond that, but it's a form of cheating because you're getting something, there's some gaps you're feeling, and it's something that would, if your partner found out, it would jeopardize your relationship.
Correct. And because if we assume why you are cheating is circumstantial, and it's because you've lacked something and you're looking for it somewhere else, once you go that somewhere else, you'll surely get satisfied. So once you're coming back to your partner, you don't feel the urgency anymore for what you are needing.
Yeah, and of course it will trickle down to other things. You'll start resenting them. You'll start...
Correct.
So eventually it will have a ripple effect to the whole dynamic at the end of it all.
Right.
Okay, so what are the impacts of cheating? And normally we talk about the impact of cheating from a point of the person who's been cheated on, but I would like us to look at both, on the person who's cheating and the person who's been cheated on.
No, okay. Let's start with the person who is cheating. Wacha tusimuite perpetrator, lakini yeye ni perpetrator of cheating.
So tuwaite kwa victim na perpetrator.
Yes. So the perpetrator, we have two vile to distinguish. We have one who is just making the choices, random choices. Today I want to do it, and he does it, or she does it. It's circumstantial. For the one who is having choices, I wonder if they have any meetings with themselves back, wafikirie what am I doing or something like that.
Hizo meeting wanachelewa. Wafikagi meeting.
Ama wakifika mkutano zimeisha.
So unapata watu wakitoka.
Nitafanya tena alafu nitakuja mkutano next time. But for the people who is circumstantial, I'm sure at some point it always hits them back and they wonder if the circumstances were different, would I be doing this? Yes or no? Maybe they think about it and maybe they try to change or address it at some point. But I cannot speak for them because I'm not so sure about it. But I'm sure anything that you are doing, it's circumstantial and it always have an effect on you, especially guilt. Especially
and
guilt
shame.
And shame. And most times, kwanza wale wenye wanapatikananga, unapata ati, kumbe bibi wenye ulioani wa kule kwetu Malindi. Amekwekea kamote hapo, anavanga ile bidi, unasemanga ni urembo. Kumbe amekufunga. Unaenda kucheat.
Is that true? You're joking?
Unaenda kucheat. Unakwama. Watu wa KTN wanakuja, tunakuona kwa news ya saa moja.
Kila mtu anakuona.
Mzee mmoja kwa jina Kevin alipatikana na.
Do you have something against Kevin?
Kevin mgani?
You know, Kevin, you've used Kevins for bad examples.
Just
an observation.
Society. Kijana anaitwa Kevin alipatikana na hao wawili walikwama mpaka saa zile bibi alikuja. It's a lot of shame. How are you going to walk on the streets knowing that people saw you on TV because ati ulikwama? Na wanakupiganga picha mkiwa kwa hiyo blanketi. The media people are bad. Yeah.
No, they're just doing their job.
They're doing their job. So that is for the perpetrators. For those who are being cheated on, the effect is enormous. Kabisa, because for one, they feel guilt and shame and a lot of emotions twice.
Sense of betrayal.
Yeah. For them, kwanza, how wenyewe, am I lacking anything? Why me? Why should he cheat? Or why should she cheat on me? Ni nini yo nakosa? Ni nini yo pia hapati? So they feel the emotion twice for themselves and for the other partner as well. Yeah. And it's bad, and most times they try to talk to people about them, but everybody nowadays is going through a lot, and most probably they don't get the most precise and accurate advice they would need.
Not even advice, because I've also realized from a professional and even a personal relationship, human beings just want to be heard. Sometimes you don't even need to you know, if say I came to you and told you, by the way, nimekuwa nikistruggle, miguu zinaniuma, magoti zinasumbua nikitembea ama nikikimbia, you will tell me maybe you need to lose a bit of weight. But sometimes I just want the empathy of maybe you need to take some supplements, because when you go the other, I'm not saying that we don't tell people the truth, but sometimes I already know that I need to lose some weight, that's why my knees are behaving the way they are behaving. But sometimes a human being just wants to be heard. They want someone to empathize and just, I don't know if you've ever observed this with children. Okay, akikuja, mama, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. For some reason it goes away and they start playing. But until you tell them, oh, I'm so sorry, they'll cry. They'll keep coming, anaketi in a very strategic way just to show you. You see, mgeni akikuja, everyone has to see, because we just want to be heard. We just want to see that another human being is to some extent understanding and feeling our pain.
Correct.
So I can imagine in that situation, this individual does not need to be told, we're in an open society, men have been doing this, kuzi mademu wako hivo, unajua ni juu ya do. I think first thing before anything, they just need to be heard, because they're already blaming themselves. Correct. Right? Before anything. Yeah.
I totally agree. Now the issue I have with that is, most times I was talking with somebody about this conversation actually yesterday, and they told me, unajua sisi women we have a good support system. Kama bwanangu anacheat, I just go to the salon when I'm being dressed, I'm anatengeneza makucha, and I talk to the girls, and then I just feel good that I've talked about it.
Walisema kwa sale unakuna radio kwa sababu watangazaji wako hapa.
But now my issue is, hapo kwa salon, are you getting, at the end of the day, now that people have heard you. Hawatanyamaza wakikusikiza, they'll say something back. What is it that they say it back to you, and how do you action it? Because you tell somebody, my husband has been cheating on me for the past 5 years, and nimekuwa nikinyamaza cause hajui na mcheat. One of them will say, oh wow, you are very patient. Mwingine atasema aenda uchukue kisu mdunge, that man does not deserve to live. Mwingine atakwambia go pray and fast. Sindio? So which one of the three do you take?
Yeah, but as I said earlier, in that situation, it seems like this individual is just looking for catharsis. And then now maybe later ataendea sasa aende mtu mwenye anaweza mpea advice, maybe a parent, an auntie or someone. But you're raising a very important point. What if someone is not very stable in that moment in time, achukue your advice ya kisu? So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Na mwingine pia anaweza sema at that point, mimi ningekuwa wewe singekuwa kwa hii dunia. Kidogo kidogo nasikia msichana mmoja miaka 30 anaitwa Caroline alijitia kitanzi sababu ni mapenzi, cheating. It happens like that. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that it has a very heavy impact on both the parties, and we've not even gone to the depths of, family breaking, the consequence it has on the children, and just the whole thing. Because sometimes you find people, when they end up on that road, unapata mmoja wao maybe anaenda into drug and substance abuse.
Correct.
It's a whole, it's not just, it looks like just one thing, but it's a whole, it's a very big part of it. But there's something brought up that is very important when you talked about, this community, this socialization we have, how we've decided to handle these things, the way we've, and I remembered when we were talking about open relationships and someone, it's a polyamory, being on a polyamorous kind of polyandry, all those. But it's I think it's a whole new concept that we are getting into terms. I think it's something that maybe has been practiced by other people, but we were not liberal enough maybe to practice it. But I hope we can talk about that some other time when we talk about relationship from another perspective. So as we wind up, my last question would be, do you think as a community we're ever going to get to a place where we are going to actually confront cheating for what it is? Because I feel like all these reasons that we come with is just a way to run away from what it actually is. It's a choice, and it does not matter where you're coming from. It's something that someone should take personal responsibility, and I'm not saying this from a judgmental point of view. Just taking that personal responsibility. Do you think we'll ever come to a place where we confront it for what it is?
I think that's a good question, and of course we are speaking about it in an African context, but I would like to say that that answer is individual based. You, as either the victim or the perpetrator, the one who is cheating or the one who is being cheated on, because all of us have a responsibility in the cheating spectrum. So if you are being cheated on, do you have the energy and the courage to confront the cheater and ask, why are you doing this? Ama you want to compromise for the sake of the benefit, or whatever reason it is. For the cheater, now that you're feeling guilty, you've done it, are you willing to confront your partner and let them know, for this period of time, this is what has been happening, and it's because of this and this. I don't want to do it anymore, and I'm coming clean to tell you that this is what has been happening. It's individual based, and it's very difficult because that is taking a bullet to the head straight, and it's very, very difficult. What I know is, like we said, it's social, economic, and even political spectrum that results into this thing. And as long as hizi vitu hazibadiliki, maisha inaendelea kuwa ngumu, we want financial gains, we need these transactional things to continue, it's gonna be hard kabisa. So my answer is no for now. I'm not seeing us getting to that point anytime soon, because as we have established, it's those simple traps that we are having as individuals. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that we have to confront very, very big parts of ourselves.
Right.
One being, from what you're saying, one being boundaries. You've done this, so I'm hurt. You've crossed some maybe emotional boundary for me, so I need to be able to reinforce it, which also needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of denying gratification and self-regulation. So it's a very personal thing that requires a lot of awareness to be able to be reinforced.
Correct.
Thank you so much. Any last words?
Last words is to the cheaters. Unfortunately, vile wanasemanga ati siku za mwizi ni 40, pia zako zitafika, so you better stop cheating. Let me not be judgmental, but I would also like to say thank you for Candid Conversations, for having me here and discussing this sensitive topic. It's way sensitive than it looks. It's way serious than the way our faces show, but it's a very serious and sensitive issue in our community. Yeah, I'm glad we talked about it today.
Thank you for coming, and we don't take it for granted for sharing the knowledge and being able to communicate your thoughts around it. And for the viewers, I hope that in the comment section you'll be brave enough to ask more questions. Sangulo is open to doing a part 2.
Correct.
If we have enough questions to have another episode around it. And anyone who's trapped in either sides of it, umesema tuseme ni victim na perpetrator,
yeah.
It's always okay for you to seek any form of help that would be helpful for you, so that we can escape those things that we've talked about, the boundary, the being unable to delay gratification, and all those things that wind up into cheating and the whole cycle.
Right.
Thank you so much, Sangulo, for gracing the show. And for our lovely viewers, we'd like you to share, like, subscribe, leave your comments, ask questions. He'd be glad to be back to answer the questions and have a part 2 of this episode. So enjoy. Bye.